On the docket for today's San Francisco 49ers report, is Brock Purdy the real deal? And coming up on today's show, Brock Purdy has pretty much played a full season's worth of games, and the numbers that he's been able to put up over those 17 games might shock you. But really what I want to focus in on here is this quote from former NFL head coach and current NFL analyst for the 33rd team, Mike Martz. He said the Brock Purdy-Joe Montana comparisons are really accurate. He said, I think it's a good analogy. I really do. And he said that Purdy, just like Kyle Shanahan said a couple of months ago, is the real deal. But is Brock Purdy the real deal? We're going to allow you to decide for yourself, but also we want to hear from you right now. This is today's poll question. If you think Purdy is the real deal, franchise quarterback swagger, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. If you don't, share your football analysis with us, and I want you to comment why before we take a look at all of this. Today's 49ers report is sponsored by Game Time. If you're looking to go to Niners Bucks on Sunday, still tickets available. If you want to go to a comedy show or a concert, you can also use the Game Time app. Whatever tickets you're looking for, Game Time has you covered. And they have you covered with the best seats at the lowest price guaranteed. With this app, the prices drop as the event gets closer. You can swipe for flash deals that allows you to save more cheddar. And you can also save money if you use the promo code NinersChat, $20 off at checkout. What I love about this app and what I want from my apps on my phone, a positive user experience. I get that with Game Time. For instance, if I want to go to Niners Bucks, I got to do a watch party, but I'd love to go. I know where I'll be sitting and what I'll be looking at from Levi's Stadium. That's the list view. You can also take a look at the map view. Price points for where you'll be sitting on the specific yard line. So once again, code NinersChat. We'll put that link down below in the comment section as well as in the description of this video. We appreciate Game Time for supporting the program here today. Get signed up. The app is free, and then when you purchase your tickets, all you have to do is plug in that promo code to get $20 off. So let's circle back to this quote from Mike Martz. And he said this after what was a very efficient game for quarterback Brock Purdy against Jacksonville on Sunday, in which he was making throws at all three levels of the field and threw for 3 touchdowns and was carving up that Jacksonville secondary. He said the Joe Montana thing is really accurate. Now keep in mind, Mike Martz is about 70 years old right now. He came up watching Joe Montana. He was coaching some of those greatest shows on turf teams with the St. Louis Rams at the time, with Kurt Warner, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, Marshall Faulk. The Joe Montana thing is really accurate. I think it's a good analogy. Now, a lot of you are probably asking yourselves, who the hell is Mike Martz? Super Bowl winning, Rams offensive coordinator, Rams head coach from 2000 to 2005. A lot of success with that organization. A career record as a head coach of 53-32, and he does have some ties to the Niners organization. He was San Francisco's offensive coordinator in 2008. That was the last year under head coach Mike Nolan. Now, to kind of set the foundation for what Purdy has been able to do this year, these are some of the general stats, and then we'll go in more depth with some of the other numbers here just around the corner. Purdy is 6-3. He's completing nearly 69% of his passes. He's thrown for 15 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, an NFL best 9.3 yards per attempt. That obviously is helped out by some of the Yak Kings on this Niners roster, but I'd say that Brock Purdy's arm strength is definitely underrated, and he can target and has had a lot of success in targeting the intermediate area of the field. 10 to 19 yards, but as we saw with that touchdown throw to George Kittle on Sunday, with some of the other deep balls that he's thrown, Brock Purdy can throw off platform, and he can make plays downfield better than any quarterback that Kyle Shanahan has had for this Niners organization. Purdy among all quarterbacks this year. He is number 1 in passer rating. He is number 1 in QBR. He is number 1 in yards per attempt. His adjusted EPA per play, also number 1. His big-time throw rate, number 5 among all quarterbacks in the NFL. We're not done. In fact, not even close to it. Completion percentage, number 7 in the National Football League. His passer rating under pressure, Some of the best quarterbacks make the biggest of throws when they're under siege. Number 1 in the NFL. His completion percentage under pressure, number 1 in the NFL. And his yards per attempt under pressure, number 1. This doesn't show up oftentimes on the stat sheet. It doesn't show up on the box score. When you look at Brock Purdy, he doesn't have the size of Josh Allen, who's throwing picks and is reckless with the football and can't even hand the football off to his running backs right now. He doesn't have that size or that arm strength. But sometimes those attributes are overrated. Sometimes these things, that's what elite quarterbacks do. And these are the attributes that you want in a franchise quarterback. Now, I know a lot of you are also saying, but what about the interceptions? Brock Purdy threw a bunch of them, especially during that 3-game losing streak. What about all of the turnover-worthy plays? There are only 5 qualifying quarterbacks who have started 5 games or more who have thrown fewer interceptions. Derek Carr, Deshaun Watson, both of whom have missed time. Russell Wilson, who's having a really good year, good win on Monday Night Football on the road against Buffalo. Kenny Pickett, who seems scared to throw the ball in that system. And C.J. Stroud, who has a rookie under DeMeco Ryans and that offense that's taken everybody by surprise, is an MVP candidate up to this point. So that addresses that question. How about this one? But Chase, what Brock Purdy has done so far in his NFL career, too small of a sample size to say he's the real deal or he could be the franchise quarterback. I need to see more. You know what's crazy? He's pretty much played an entire season, and if these numbers were translated out to a full season, these numbers here on screen would be one of the best single seasons for any quarterback in the history of the San Francisco 49ers. That's crazy. This is including the Miami game in which you replaced Jimmy Garoppolo in the first quarter, and not the Philadelphia game in the NFC Championship game where he barely played. Brock Purdy, in 17 games, this is a full season, and nowadays NFL, 68% completion percentage. He's thrown for 4,100 plus yards, 31 touchdowns to 8 picks. You kidding me? Those are excellent numbers right there. Yards per attempt at 8.9 and a rating of 110.6. A couple of other seasons come to mind when you think about efficient seasons from quarterbacks in the history of this illustrious organization. 1981, that was Joe Montana's first full season as a quarterback. Here's how he fared, and here's how Purdy's numbers compare to him. 13-3, 63.7% completion percentage, 19 touchdowns, 12 picks, yards per attempt at 9.3. That's almost 2 yards less than Brock Purdy. Yes, the NFL game at that point was a little bit different, but that's how Montana fared in his first full season. And the Purdy full season numbers, like I said, would be one of the best for a Niners quarterback ever. I guess I should have phrased it differently. That was comparing Joe Montana's first full season to Purdy's first full season. We showed you the Purdy numbers. We showed you the Montana numbers. Now we're going to take a look at some of the best single seasons for any Niners quarterback ever. And it was Steve Young in 1994, and it was also Joe Montana a little bit before that. So now let's take a look at those numbers. My bad if I confused you. Forgive me. In 1994, Steve Young won NFL MVP. Here's how he fared. 13-3. 70% completion percentage, which is a little bit higher than what Brock Purdy has done so far. 35 touchdowns and 10 picks, about the same. Threw for less yards than Brock Purdy, and his yards per attempt at 7.3. So that was one of the more efficient seasons in the history of the Niners. This was as well 5 years earlier in 1989 with Joe Montana. That year, he also won MVP when he won back-to-back MVPs. He was 11-2. Completion percentage of 70%. By the way, Montana and Steve Young led the NFL in these 2 seasons in completion percentage. 26 touchdowns to 8 picks, 3,500 yards, and yards per attempt at 6.7. What Purdy has done so far, better numbers than Montana, and almost better numbers than what Steve Young has been able to do. So you go back to the question, right? Is Brock Purdy for real? The real deal. The jury is still out. But he's off to a pretty damn good start right now. Is he the next Joe Montana? That's a little bit rich for me. But what pops about Brock is also what separated Joe Cool back in the day. It's the accuracy. It's the anticipation. It's the athleticism. It's the poise. Underrated arm strength, where he has this ability to throw the ball downfield. When you look at him, he's not the most massive quarterback in stature, nor was Joe Montana. But it's not like Tom Brady was this freakish athlete either. Sometimes it comes down to high-level quarterbacking. And Brock Purdy has those types of quarterback instincts and attributes. And you look at some of these in-depth numbers, right? Purdy is very poised when he's under pressure. He was pressured a career high. 50% of his dropbacks against the Jags, he threw for a career high, 143 yards when pressured, 8 of 12 with 2 touchdowns. He now has 8 touchdowns and 1 pick when pressured in his career. Again, that's big boy quarterbacking play. Now, if you want to contact me about this segment or about anything, I'm also into health and wellness. I go on runs every day. Shout out to my boy Wes. He reaches out to me a lot. X, Instagram, email, all of my contact information is here. Let's chop it up to talk Niners. Let's chop it up to talk life. I also cover the NBA, college football, and Major League Baseball here at Chat Sports.